So let's talk a little bit about like budget, right? And how those conversations went. Austin, you love these conversations. It's kind of been interesting, but like your expectations to what was delivered, to conversations and communication, like, because I think people just don't, and you hit on it really early in the morning, or early on in the conversation. You said people are like, I can get this built for $15K, and you just kind of like laugh at it a little bit, like, no, you're going to get a wireframe and that's about it.
Yeah.
But let's talk about like those conversations you had. And Austin, you can kind of touch on both sides here. I'm just curious on how these conversations happened, with budget to features to kind of how that happened.
I think one thing that's like super interesting is with every project, and we even tell like these new clients this now, it's like, hey, we're going to give you an estimate, but like be prepared, because there's going to become a point where we're going to probably have to ask for more because we did not understand something was going to take super long.
Yep.
And I think that's just like one thing that's like super hard to convey, but like always happens. And that's why we tell people, if you're raising funding, it's like, we'll give you a budget, but you really should raise double.
Yeah.
Like just to prepare for, worst case scenarios or whatever. But yeah, I'd be super curious to kind of hear your take. Like, how did you make the decisions to like pivot and like keep going? Because I think really as a founder, you've got two choices. You either keep investing or you stop. So yeah, explain that to us.
I think for me, again, I was just fortunate, had a good career, still do, but had a really good run with Vivint.
Mm-hmm.
And knocking doors is nothing glamorous. I honestly don't think there's...
We all know.
Yeah, there's not a soul that knocking on someone's door. I mean, it's a really looked down upon profession.
Yep.
And people are almost scared to tell people that's what they do for a living. Like, I'm not a doctor, but
I'm a door-to-door salesman.
I'm a professional door-to-door salesman. That guy that you brush off your porch, like a stray cat that's what I do for a living.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was able to have funds from doing that to be able to do it. So, that wasn't that difficult of a decision for me to like, do I want to do? I think at the beginning, going into it, know if you're going to commit to it, you better commit to it. Like, if not, that's how you lose money, right? Mm-hmm. So I have this argument I've had this argument with my wife many times, right? It was on different things, but one of them that I remember was so funny. She definitely sold me on it, and because I've sold her on things before, but it was, there's these purses that are really cheap. You can get really cheap purses at Target, and those are good, and she actually really likes those. But if she was wanting to get a really expensive one, it was, well, these are cheap and this one's really expensive. However, this one is like proven to last for X number of years and these only last for 1 year, right? Mm-hmm. So if I buy, even though it's 10 times more the cost, I'm going to spend more on these cheap ones going through them and them breaking and I'll probably spend double on the cheap ones over the course of how long this one will last. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you kind of got to be ready to just be all in with it and do it right. Yeah. And
rather than doing a bunch of cheap ones.
Yeah, half-assing it, it's never a good thing. It's
super funny because I know we even wrote an article on it, and it's like, yeah, you might be paying, a firm, somewhere between, $150 and like $250 an hour or whatever to build your product, and it's like, I can go do this overseas for $100 an hour or way cheaper. And it's like when you actually run like the analysis like on the projects just in general, you typically see that the ones that aren't done right or are just done overseas the wrong way typically cost double or triple.
That's right. That's what I was going to say. Is doing it right the first time might be a little more money
up front.
But I think in the long run, it's a very easy argument to say it's actually cheaper.